So I'm going to call this to order.
Okay, good job.
Excellent. Okay, are there any public comments on non-agenda items? Hearing none. Review and approval of the meeting notes from December 13th. Any concerns, comments?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. Any comments after that? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
One.
Okay. My update. Hello.
Hi.
This is day 3 of month 2. So had my made it through my first board meeting last night. So that was good.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, you know, I have to say that the board meetings here thus far are a walk in the park. Because as you all know, I came from the LA Community College District, where the 45 minutes that the entire board meeting was in the LA district, that would have taken up maybe, I think we would have gotten through the first maybe 4 public speakers out of 25, because usually the first 2 hours was all public speakers. They each got 3 minutes. And I mean, so last night, it's like,
Yeah, that was nice.
hello, so awesome. So just a couple of updates. Well, that was awesome. If you were paying attention to the board agenda, which I know you all copiously read, you know, the second it comes out, you digest it, you're so excited. You'll see on there that we did withdraw the RFP for the EMP and the FMP. And the reason that we did that is because it's a good idea. From the EMP side of it, well, let me take a step back and say that once I had been chosen as the president, Rajan told me that they had held off interviewing companies or consultants to do the EMP and the FMP. He said, oh, you should make that decision when you come. So when I came, on my second day, I had a great meeting with Crystal here, who came to my office, and she gave me the updated mission statement, which we're going to take to the board on March 20th. She gave me an environmental scan, and she gave me the working draft of what you're doing with the Vision for Success goals and a few other things. And I said to her, why are we hiring a consultant to do the EMP? Because the EMP is right here. And as we said the other day, it just needs to be stapled with some transitional sentences. I mean, it's practically done. So that's not a good use of college funds, to pay a consultant to come and do what we already have. Now, of course, it needs to be crafted together. It needs to go through shared governance. It needs to be reviewed, get feedback, both internal and external. But that's the way we're going to go with the EMP, because it just makes no sense to do that. So that's the EMP side of it. The FMP side of it was more like what happens when you peel an onion, right? You peel an onion and then there's another layer. And so again, we are, looking at then we'll do the FMP. But then I asked for a copy of the draft of the FMP that had been, as it was described to me, abandoned in 2016. Said, well, let me see this document that was abandoned. So I got that and I read through it, and that FMP certainly needs some improvement. It needs some updating in terms of the information. There's some key construction and building information that's not in there, and as I understand it, it wasn't properly taken through in enough community input and all of that. But the idea of having a company start all over again on an FMP that's practically done, it also doesn't make sense. So that's how we're going to go forward. We're going to invite proposals to update that FMP, and obviously we'll reach out to the company that created it and let them know that we're looking at an update. But again, that's a better use of college funds. So that's where we're headed on that. Are there any questions or concerns about that? No?
Well, not concerned, but the timeline for the FMP and all that was going to be starting again in March. When do we believe this actually start getting, really working on?
Well, I think because we'll need to do the RFP and get that out, it probably won't be for a couple of months. But the advantage is that the EMP should drive the FMP anyway. So our task really is to get the EMP put together, including a section on enrollment management, and do what we need to do with that. And while we're working on that, go through the RFP process on the FMP, and then by the time that we have that entity in place, then hopefully they'll have a starting point. I'm very concerned about how, we're not in a hurry to get to the FMP because the EMP has to be done first. Okay. All right, and other than that, it's awesome to be on month 2, day 3. Just saying. So, I think that's it for me. Academic affairs update. Dr.
Good
Judy.
morning.
Good morning.
Happy, what's this, the third day of spring, right?
Yes.
Third day of the spring semester.
Of the spring semester.
Still really cold outside.
Right, it's not the verbal.
At least it's not raining yet today. So you could go do your chem lab right now and not get
while
rained
it's
on.
dry.
Yeah. So a couple of things. First of all, last night at the board meeting, the new Dean of Performing and Communication Arts was approved. Her name is Liesl Reinhardt, and she starts on Monday. And so I'm excited about having a new dean join the team, and hopefully PCA is excited about their new dean. She has a communication background. She's actually coming to us from Mount Sac, where she's currently communication faculty there. She's also held a number of positions over there, including an assistant dean position. She was very involved in their forensics program. She also is has been involved in Academic Senate. She's actually, her last day at Mount Sac is Friday, and she is running their Flex program on Friday. So she's very busy over there before she comes over here. So I'm excited to welcome her here. We will also be flying shortly the dean for VAMS. If those of you who may not pay attention to all the things that happen on the board report, but Joe Futner is retreating to faculty starting the fall of 2019. And so for those of you who don't know Joe well, you may not know that he teaches art history. And so he'll be returning as faculty in the fall, and we'll be flying shortly to fill that position. As I have reported and we've talked about, we're in the process of hiring 57 new faculty in almost every department on campus, it seems like. Not really, but quite a few. And all of those are moving along at various stages of the process. Some of the committees, I think, are starting to look at paper. That will become quite active, obviously, over the next few weeks, and the interview process will probably be starting late March. And so late March, April, May will be a very busy time in regard to the 3 levels of interviews that need to happen. In most of those, we have good pools. There's a couple of those positions that we're struggling to get good pools, like construction, which are kind of, different from the standpoint of where do you find teachers to teach construction inspection. And so that's an example of where we're struggling right now of getting good pools, but we're working on that. And so hopefully we'll have a good group of new faculty starting in the fall. Enrollment numbers, spring is not our best spring. Enrollment number-wise, things actually are picking up a little bit once the classes started on Tuesday, but we still are lagging behind compared to last spring. And so looking at enrollment numbers, we're about 1,700, a little over 1,700 fewer enrollments right now as compared to the same time last year. And that's about 330 fewer students. So it's actually not a huge number of students. And so, but the enrollment number is a little bit larger than the number of students would imply. If we continue on that path, my prediction would be that that's going to be about 160 fewer FTS that we generate for this spring compared to last spring. That's obviously a real rough estimate at this point on the third day of classes to actually be jumping to an FTS number. In regard to FTS, our fall was considerably less than what we did last year. Winter, it generated more than what we generated last year. But all that being said, that where we're at currently right now with the estimates is we're about 1,800 short of what we need if we're going after growth. And that's still a big if at this point in time. And so that 1,800 would have to be made up in, what we don't have in yet are all the winter positive attendance hours. Obviously, we have none of the spring positive attendance hours. And so that's both non-credit as well as credit positive attendance.
Terry, if we're just going for base, what do we need?
If we're just going for base, we would need an additional 1,620.
1620 versus 1800.
Right, 1,840 versus 1,620. And so either way, that's a lot that we would need. In my conversations with Dr. Bell, he's predicting that the non-credit FTS that's not yet in the system because it's positive attendance between winter and spring would be about 500 additional, and so that would be about another 1,100 credit FTS that we need. Positive attendance for spring will be more than 300. And so that would say that we need about 800 FTS from early summer to make base, basically. Last year, we pulled 425 from summer. And so the point is that I'm not panicking yet because the numbers are all achievable. And so we'll see as we continue to move down and we have a little bit better idea with the positive attendance coming in for winter and the like.
So can I ask the total computational revenue for 17-18 that our 18-19 budget was based on? Was that our funded base plus a percentage of growth?
That's correct.
What was the percentage, 2%?
Pretty close to that.
I think it was closer to 1%.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know that
Oh,
number for
you're
you.
right, because when we did recalc, we
went down in the recalc? Okay.
Well, we chose to go down.
Well, we just went with the actual growth number, because the previous year, we actually submitted FTS that exceeded the growth that the state had offered us.
Okay.
And that was because of conversations that Dr. Storti had with the Chancellor's office that basically said because most districts were not going to reach their growth, there was going to be growth FTS sitting on the table.
Yeah.
And so we submitted higher than that and we were funded for that. We in earlier parts of last year, we were having similar conversations because we figured that things weren't changing that much up and down the state, so there probably would be additional growth dollars on the table. So should PCC pursue it? And early on during the year, the answer was we were going to go after that. And then in the end, we said, no, let's don't, because we're digging a really
Right.
big hole.
That's a huge hole.
For the next year that it will be difficult for us to achieve. Especially because the enrollment decline that the rest of the state had been seeing was starting to hit PCC, and so the final. So we still went for growth last year, but we didn't go above the 1% that was offered by the state, and so. And so that, when I'm saying growth, I'm talking about, approximately, it's approximately 1% if we're going after it. That's 230 FTS. But because where our numbers are right now, I think the decision we probably should ultimately make is we're not going to go for that. We're just
Right.
going to try to achieve base. Our base is a little bit lower than the standard because now it's a 3-year average, and so because it's been going up, a 3-year average is slightly less than what it would have been using the old funding formula.
Right. Well, that's one upside.
That's good.
That's
Right.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So,
Okay.
Well, I guess the other thing I'll say, for those of you who don't know, and I meant to get the full count, but we have 2 more associate degrees for transfers. So our economics and our philosophy degrees were approved by the chancellor's office, and so that's good. And I know I just had a meeting with the 2 co-chairs, Sharon and Tammy, this morning, and there is work on other areas in regard to associate degrees for transfer. The other task that the C&I committee will be starting to work on is that there's a change in the unit value for certificates of achievement. It used to be that they had to be 18 or above. Now it's 16 or above. So a lot of what C&I will be doing is working with faculty to basically submit occupational skills certificate that were in the 16 range for approval as certificates of achievement. And then there will be further conversation about other possible certificates that we could be building, both for our students. The advantage for students is that if their chancellor's office approves certificates of achievement, then they're transcriptable. They actually have a record on their transcript that they earn that. So if they lose that pretty little piece of paper that Cynthia keeps asking for more of, they could get a copy of their transcript and prove that they earned it, which is a good thing for students. And from the standpoint of the new student-centered funding formula, we also get money for awarding of those certificates. We don't get money for awarding occupational skills certificates, but we do get funds for awarding certificates of achievement. So there's both a win for students as well as a win for the college to get those smaller ones approved at this point.
And are we uploading the skills achievement awards into the salary surfer?
We are,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
So at least we're getting some credit that way.
Yes, yes. And there is a lot of work on that because historically, certificates of achievement and occupational skills certificate, the awarding of that, helping students do the paperwork, et cetera, was happening in division offices. And so we're centralizing all of that so that that's also happening the same way we do degrees. We will be doing the same process in a centralized fashion, which will help us track. It will be a much better tracking system from that, but we can also then utilize the same sorts of resources that we do to help students apply for degrees to also apply for their certificates, whether they're skills certificates or certificates of achievement. And so I think that's all good for students to help them know that they're really close and or they've earned a certificate, and it will also, from the standpoint of the new funding formula, be good for the institution to have a better track of where students are in regard to that. So anyway, so that's all. That's my report. Thanks.
Okay, great, thank you. Student affairs update.
So Dr. Ginny was referring to the fact that I've asked for a second year in a row, I've had to ask for $11,000 for diploma paper because we don't have that built into our budget. And we want our students to have a physical diploma. So thank you, Erica, for finding us the funding for that. My report is that
Never been anywhere where the transcript paper or the diploma paper was already in the budget. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
there is a new excuse withdrawal that will be available for students, and this is introduced by the Chancellor's Office. The excused withdrawal is different than a regular withdrawal in that it is not going to be calculated into academic probation and dismissal calculations. And just so all of you know, the regular withdrawal is not counted in GPA, but it is counted in academic probation and dismissal. So we will be testing this in a banner test environment to make sure that It doesn't calculate into the academic probation and dismissal job, and that it coincides with the federal financial aid setup that we have in Banner, because excused withdrawal, unfortunately, on the federal side, it will have an impact on students potentially having to return funds to the federal government if they receive financial aid. So I'm working on a memo to send to the campus. The memo we received from the Chancellor's office has a lot of technical language, and I'm currently translating into language we can all digest and share with our students. I also wanted to share that March 15th is the Associate Degree for Transfer deadline, where our college has to submit all the names of the students who are earning ADTs to the CSU system. And so we currently have 2 evaluators, that's Betsy and Homa. We hired a 3rd person, and she is in training. Just so that you all know, it does take around a year to ensure that the person is trained and reviews transcripts and coursework from other colleges in an accurate manner. So it's a tremendous workload. I met with IT yesterday to see if technology can help us out so that the people are not overwhelmed in the next month in trying to review all of the student transcripts. Especially the students, we have around 986 students who have coursework completed at other colleges. So we have a plan. I've engaged the various programs within student services and the college to reach out to the students to help us collect documents. And our goal is to beat the ADT number from last year. Last year we had 1,389 ADTs. And currently, if we can get all the students to submit their documents and we get through all of the processing, we'll have 1,580. So it helps to have 2 new associate degree for transfers approved, because now I can run degree audits for these 2 programs to see if there are other students that are eligible to receive the degree. And you all know we're in the era of the new student-centered funding formula, so having higher numbers of associate degree for transfers helps us out as a college for multiple reasons, not just in helping our amazing students. That being said, I also wanted to encourage all of you to please ask faculty to use PCC Connect. We currently have over 400 faculty using PCC Connect, and the data shows that if faculty use this early alert system to outreach to a student and refer them to student services for support, their retention and success rates go up 10%. And it's very easy to use. There will be training sessions for faculty between weeks 2 and 4. And on Flex Day, we have a workshop, so I encourage you to please sign up on Flex Day, March 14th, 2019. That's probably the best day to, you won't have any other responsibilities that day except learning. So I would encourage you please to do that and ask other faculty to do it. We have 2 students who serve on our PCC Connect Advisory Board, and they think it's so beneficial to have faculty working closely with student services to connect them to support. I also wanted to report that similarly, when we're down in enrollment for the college, we're also down in enrollment for international students. And we're around less than 200 head count down in international student enrollment. And so we're going to try and recruit from our local language schools. As many of you know, in the San Gabriel Valley, we have many language schools where students come from other countries simply to learn English. And so I've asked the president for some one-time funds to do some recruitment activities. Some are very low cost, like hosting lunches for the educators at the local language schools, and the other would be participating in a college fair abroad. And that's one way of ensuring that we could get our name out there and recruit more students. I also want to report that we're around 1,400 students down in regards to Pell Grant awards. So, we do offer the Pell Grant book advance voucher in the bookstore. we're doing everything humanly possible to improve the financial aid process for students. And one thing that is on our site is the Chancellor's Office provided us with $200,000 in one-time technology funds. And so we're implementing a software product called Campus Logic. And this is like TurboTax for financial aid. It's really easy step by step. It'll make financial aid processing much easier for students. So you'll know what documents you've turned in, which ones you still have to turn in, and most importantly, how much financial aid you'll get and when. So that should be implemented by May. I also wanted to report that over the winter break, PCC was a bellwether finalist. And our president knows what bellwether is. It was my first time experiencing being a bellwether finalist. But this is a consortium of colleges from across the country, and they had over 1,000 applications for this distinguished award, and PCC was a top 10 finalist for the Pathways program. And our Pathways program is seen as an excellent way to guide students into their first year and second year and then third year, and it's our model and foundation for our guided pathways approach at the college. I don't know if you wanted to add anything about bellwether, because people
Yeah.
here don't really know.
So the Bellwether is part of the Community College Futures Assembly. It's like you said, a consortium of colleges. And they do awards in 3 different categories every year. And last year, my college, LA Valley College, we were a top 10 finalist in workforce. And what you do, it's kind of like a beauty contest is what it is. So you get nominated, and you have to put together this big binder of stuff. And but they don't tell you how important that binder is. So this is where we fell down last time. And Cynthia and I talked about the binder like a day before she was going, and she's like, "Oh, I don't think we did that." But they don't really tell you to do it. And so then you go and you do a poster session on your whatever you're recognized for, and then you do a session over a day-long period, and there's usually about 30 to 40 people in that session watching you, and like 3 of them are judges, but you have no idea who the judges are because they just blend, right? And so some of the winners in the past have tried to do things that are really interesting. Like what we did was, last year, we did it on our Strengthening Working Families program, which was a combination of our family resource services with our workforce development arm. So all the people we bring in to teach them the Bridge program in terms of how to become a bus operator for Metro, we gave them all these wraparound services. And a couple of years ago, when I was being interviewed and asked, well, how do you see those 2 things coming together? I said, well, it's like a Reese's peanut butter cup. It's 2 great tastes that taste great together. So for our presentation, we found that commercial from the 1970s, and we showed the commercial, and we were all wearing chef's uniforms with LA Valley College, and then the 4-year-old, impossibly adorable child of one of the presenters went around with Reese's peanut butter cups for everybody in the room. We didn't win. Well, but where we got the idea was that one of the folks who was with us as a trustee, Andrew Hoffman, who was at Glendale College when they got nominated, and she said that year the team that won did their entire presentation like it was a baseball game. And they all came in baseball uniforms, and they did, basically getting to first, second, third, home run, and I mean, they just killed it, right? So I think we had a really good presentation. But in fairness, the program that won in the workforce category was awesome, and we're good, but it was awesome. It does a lot of great things, and our binder was weak.
Yeah. Ours was instructional reform, and I went early because I wanted to see some of the legacy finalists, and the program that won was amazing. I mean, they made everyone cry, and I hardly don't cry at work things. I just take it upon myself not to, but I couldn't help it. And so you all should check it out. It's at Amarillo College, and it's called the Advocacy Resource Center, or ARC, which is a great, name for this program that serves students emergency aid, social work services, anything a student needs to succeed. And the president, who I know from the Aspen program, Russell Lowry Hart, he has titled his, changing the culture of their campus, it's called the Culture of Care. So they also won yesterday at Achieving the Dream. It's an amazing program.
Okay, enough already.
I know. But anyways, I mean, that's the other opportunity, is to learn from other colleges. So I wanted to also mention that over winter, we submitted a grant to support former incarcerated students. And we should be hearing the results of the grant in a month. I'm really excited and hopeful that we get it. Also, we're participating in a symposium to learn about how to support our former incarcerated students. And Dr. Micaela Maris Tamayo and Laura Electa Hayes, our student representative, and myself went to UC Berkeley to learn from Underground Scholars, a program there that's used as the model, and this is offered by the Chancellor's Office. We're currently working on another grant proposal, and this is to replicate a program in New York called ASAP. This is a $150,000 grant offered by Skyline College, and it's due in a couple of weeks or so. So I'm looking forward to also getting money in order to help students perhaps with transportation vouchers. I wanted to personally thank Tamika since she's here, and she's been working really hard. We had an on-the-spot counseling and registration event a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
Yesterday, Cal State LA was here to do a public open forum on their impending impaction for first-time freshmen. And then this Saturday, we're hosting an Asian and Pacific Islander outreach event. So I just wanted to say thank you for your hard work,
Killing it.
Tamika.
Killing it.
And then on first day of school, we had a Lunar New Year celebration, which was coordinated by our International Students Office, our new director, Olivia Liu. We also had a Black History Month event, and we have events all month long. And the Association of Latino Employees hosted Bienvenido Day and gave out free coffee and pan dulce. So it was amazing first day of school, and we just want to start off really strong. And I'll send out the list of events that we've got scheduled for the semester. Any questions?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
No. Any questions about anything?
Do you want to report on the open educational resource that you announced at the board meeting last night?
Is that, yes, I
Yeah,
guess so.
today.
Did it come out?
Yeah.
Okay. So at the board meeting yesterday, I was able to announce that Rice University has determined that Pasadena City College is #1 across the country in use of OpenStax for open education resources. And I think I can't remember the number of students that have. 46,000 students have saved $4.2 million by using OpenStax, and awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, people, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. So we're going to be recognized for that.
And it's especially awesome when you look at the top 10 lists. So we're #1 over the University of Georgia, Salt Lake Community College, University of Maryland, Grand Rapids Community College, Georgia Highlands College, De Anza College, Lansing Community College, Hillsborough Community College, and University of Illinois Urbana.
Wow. So the fact that we're over University of Maryland with their college, their university college at College Park, wow. That's awesome. That's cool.
And I just want to bring up
Walter.
Walter Butler has been our
Yes.
faculty lead.
Yes. And I did
Right.
mention
He's
his
amazing.
name last night. I specifically mentioned his
Actually, I
hard
knew this
work.
was coming. I wasn't allowed to say.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Hard.
So, but he's done a phenomenal job. I mean, it takes a village, right?
Mhm.
But he really has taken on an excellent
Yeah,
leadership
he's
role.
incredible.
He's incredible. So we're very
Awesome.
fortunate.
Cool. Okay, anything more from that? Okay. Old items, and I assume somebody else is going to talk about AP
No, we were
3251.
gonna do.
Okay. Yes, definitely, I should be talking about this.
This is my item, and Tito will back me up on this. So as you all know, back in 2010, we created the Institutional Effectiveness Committee, and this was the original AP. And over the years, the committee has found its footing, and so last year, we undertook the process of reviewing and revising the AP for this. And as you know, some of the changes we made is we changed the BP, so this was no longer a subcommittee of the Board of Trustees, because, as we told you last year, it can't be. So we screwed that up, but we corrected that problem.
This was a board committee?
Don't say that
last
out
year?
loud anymore.
We didn't know.
Error on our part. Just a tiny one, boo-boo. But we've corrected it, the board took it well, because they had no idea. Oops. It is now, as you know, a standing committee of College Council. We corrected that. So in the AP, what we did basically was corrected the first statement to say it's a standing committee of College Council, which we changed last year already in the BP, and then we refined the charge of the committee to actually reflect what the committee does. So as you can see in the original one, it was A through M. We've now reduced that to A through F, and it just actually reflects what the committee works on. I don't think we made a lot of other changes, except maybe to, I think in the committee membership, we listed out under management representatives, all the different titles. That's kind of a waste of our time. We just said 4 management representatives. The Management Association helps us with those. We did list out the standing members. We added the Executive Director of Economic and Workforce Development. I think we added the Dean of Instructional Support. We also added the Learning Assessment Coordinator, which is a faculty member right now. That position is held by Melissa Anderson, because we wanted the Learning Assessment Coordinator on this committee. And we specifically stated then a classified analyst from the Office of Institutional Effectiveness. They're standing members. That's about it. This has gone through the process. It has gone to the Classified Senate, the Management Association, and Academic Senate. It's been approved by all, and it's coming back to this committee for the final recommendation to the Superintendent President. That's you.
That's me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Awesome.
I have a thing. It's a quick thing. It's an easy thing.
I'm happy to fix any of your things, Matt.
I appreciate that. It's at the top of page 2.
Okay?
The item listed A.
Uh-huh.
I know this was the language that was in the old AP. It says the faculty co-chairperson of the IAC shall be selected by the Academic Senate President. It's actually, or by the Executive Committee, it's that according to the Senate bylaws, this individual will be recommended by the President and then approved by the Senate. The person is not selected by the President.
Okay, so I should change selected to recommended.
Yeah,
Got it, no problem. Happy to do that.
thank you.
For you, anything.
I feel special now.
I know.
So then we need a
That
motion to
being
approve.
said, motion to approve.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Sorry.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Awesome.
Yay.
Yay. Okay, new items. BP 5700 on athletics.
Athletics, this was sent to me as a revision by, Deanna Miller, who is the dean down in athletics. It's not a big change, but it's just the language change that you can see there from the
Okay.
California Association of Community College Commission of Athletics to the California Community College Athletic Association, and that's the change in the BP.
A name change from 10 years ago.
Yeah, we like to keep up with these things.
Just wanted to make sure it was gonna stay.
That's right.
So this too will start moving through the shared governance process. I
Okay.
don't think people are gonna complain too much, it's
No.
just update.
That's fine. Okay, and then, okay,
Yep.
BP 5012.
This is international students. The BP is very simple. I just changed it to reflect the language we're now using in the BPs, which is the district. The AP has a far more changes. I think I got it up here. You should have it. Olivia Liu, who is now our director over international students, did the changes for me. She sent this over to me. Excuse me, she sent it in a PDF and I had to copy them all over, so it's tricky. Mostly you'll see what she did is she changed foreign to international. She's included some additional language in here on transcripts, dual English, also the different types of tests we'll take for English proficiency. She's changed the name of the office from office to center. We will move this through. I don't have a lot of answers on why she made these changes.
I do.
Yay, I knew
So,
somebody would.
Just so you know, I took an inventory of all of the policies and procedures that are out of date for student services, and I assigned my dean, Ofelia Arellano, to work with all of the managers in student services to update the policies and procedures, because we're 2 years out from accreditation, and we have to start being in compliance. So, the changes are based upon common practice in international students, and as you can see, the last date we approved this was in 2009. So in 9 years, a lot has changed, and that's why there's the strikeouts in adding the different tests, et cetera.
I have a thing.
I know you do. Can you hold your things and just send them to me, because I'll fix them all before I get them to the academic senate. Because this will go through the process, and when it gets to the academic senate, classified, and management, I'll have Olivia come and talk about the changes as well.
Okay.
So it's usually sunshined here first and then it goes out.
Exactly.
Great.
This is your first look, and Matt, you just send me anything you want, and I'll fix it for you.
I didn't know to send it to you guys.
And then in terms of how updates find their way here, you know, what's the process of figuring out what needs to get updated? Is that?
I track,
Mm-hmm.
and I send out to the different constituent groups who's
Okay.
responsible. So I've sent the academic senate a list of policies and procedures they're responsible for. I've sent out to Cynthia, whichever responsible for student services. So I send them a list of the ones that are in need of update based on the last time they were updated.
Mm-hmm.
I try to make sure that they're no more than 6 years out of date. Sometimes they initiate it themselves, like there are some out there now that have been initiated by groups because they wanted changes. So I follow them through on that too. I try to assist them.
Okay, great. All right, announcements.
Nothing?
Nothing?
On Tuesday, from 12 to 1, as part of Black History Month, we're gonna be staff versus students basketball game. So if you guys come out and support your staff,
It's 12
that
to
will
1.
hopefully, yes, 12 to 1, that will hopefully continue its reign for winning, because we just won for the first time ever last year, so hopefully we'll win again this year.
Is Jamar playing?
Yes, he is.
Okay.
It's a
Yeah.
lot of fun. It's so much fun watching the students really dominate most times.
Come on.
That's awesome.
But that's all I got.
We do have our Safe Zone Center will be opening mid-semester, and that's upstairs in the our building for two, I believe. And our Foster Youth Center, we finished our fundraising goal of raising $100,000 for it to go here on the first floor of our building. And then I'm making great progress in the student services redesign, so that students will no longer have to stand in line to get to front counters. They'll walk in, it'll be like the Apple Store. Someone will come to the student and say, how can I help you?
We're gonna have Apple geniuses walking in?
Yes.
Awesome.
They'll be Lancer geniuses.
Lancer geniuses, that's what we need.
Yeah.
We'll put t-shirts on them, Lancer genius.
Yes.
All will be revealed.
And then Michaela and Jason are continuing their plans for the Equity and PD Center.
Yes.
Excited.
Anything else? Yes?
I just want to announce that on Tuesday, February 26th, we're hosting Middle and High School Counselor Day. So we have 61 counselors from both in-district and out-of-district who will be here Tuesday from 9 to 1. So we're going to really help with enrollment by letting them know about our programs and services.
Wonderful. All right, folks, well,
You got off easy.
is that, I know, there's an hour and a half allotted for this, but
Did we
maybe
approve
you're
the
just trying to
minutes
be
and I
nice
just
to me.
missed
Yes.
it?
Yes.
Okay, I just missed that. No, that's fine.
So then carry on. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, yeah, you made the motion.
She was thinking about her camera.
All right, well, thank you, everyone.
That.
Yeah.